Snipers, you have to see what's happening in the cryptocurrency market today as we head into Saturday and Sunday, where the cryptocurrency market is the most manipulated due to CME futures being closed. Bitcoin is clearly enjoying its cup of coffee right now above the major support at $34,700 US. And notice how we are currently maintaining price action above the weekly open at 35,800, and that also puts us above the previous weekly open, but we are fighting to get above the monthly open at 37,300. And we all know that if we are able to cross above 38,000 US, that would open the door to a push to the 200-day moving average around that $41,950 area. The question is, are we going to see that during the weekend, or are we going to see further downside? I want to talk about what I'm expecting for Bitcoin, because it is clearly obvious right now. Bitcoin is not fighting inside the boxing ring. It is currently having a cup of coffee, sitting on the sidelines, whatever you want to call it. It is not participating in the market action, but there are a lot of puzzle pieces outside of Bitcoin that we have to look at if we pull up the DXY. Notice how we are closing the week right now with this bullish continuation candle way and above the weekly and previous weekly open right now. And notice how we are also above this monthly open. Is the DXY hinting that we are going to start to see the retest of this 50-day moving average that would also put us at home base with this 20-week moving average, which could potentially signal a reversal in the strength of the US dollar, which could affect assets? We've yet to get a confirmation of that, but I do want to talk about what I'm watching as we close this week and head into the weekend, and what we also have to monitor as we open next week. Of course, for those tuned into the Cypress channel, you know, we'll also look at the S&P 500 and then altcoins with the total cryptocurrency market cap chart. This is something we've been monitoring all week, this weekly candle close. Is this going to be the first weekly candle closing fully below the 20-week moving average, which is home base throughout the entirety of this bull cycle that we've been above this level? This candle closes here in 2 days and 5 hours. We have a lot of potential action coming on the weekend, and we have to talk about the key levels to watch when it comes to Bitcoin's price being the dominant asset in the market. And so we're going to look into the micro timeframes where everything starts to morph into the more macro timeframes. But notice how this weekly candle for Bitcoin so far has this extremely bullish tail. And if we close this with this bullish tail, that would be a higher low forming after this initial low at 30,000 and then the $31,000 low. That could be a potential signal that we have the opportunity to come and test the $50,000 level at that 20-week moving average, which would be about a 40% upside potential. And we know on the daily chart, the death cross is coming here very soon with this 200-day moving average just sitting at that $41,950 area. This 50-day is going to cross below at some point or another. In the past, when we saw a massive rally for Bitcoin, and then at the time of the death cross, we saw that push to the upside in the past, as we looked at in our video yesterday. Does that hint that we're going to see manipulation on the weekend to the upside, as we've seen in the past after a death cross? There's a lot to look at today. You guys are watching the Sniper channel. My name is Naeem Al-Abaidi. Remember to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. By the way, we've just launched 9 new languages for our videos. If you guys speak any of these languages, Arabic, Dutch, French, German, Korean, Portuguese, Spanish, Russian, or Chinese, subscribe to our channel. The link is in the description below. We are going to be translating all of our content. We have an amazing international team now, and I am super excited to launch that, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys once again. So make sure to subscribe to those channels if you've yet to do so. Let's hit 500 likes on this video. Now, first I want to talk about what's happening to Bitcoin. This is an extremely important day. It's Friday. We know traditional markets are closing here. So we're going to start on the weekly time frame. If Bitcoin's able to maintain the body of this candle above 35,000, in my opinion, that's a bullish weekly close. And we go into the daily chart. Notice here how we have this bullish tail, the continuation candle, the indecision candle, and right now we're just showing more indecision, but we know that we're above 35,000, which is an extremely key level. And at this point, it looks like Bitcoin has seen the sell pressure at the $35,000 level, and it doesn't look like we're seeing much more sell pressure. It doesn't look like institutions or retail investors are selling Bitcoin at these levels. And we know the path of least resistance when there's low volume is always going to be sideways to a little bit higher. And we're starting to see the ground fertile with buyers. And that to me indicates that the easiest path for Bitcoin to take at this point is to see further upside to eventually here at this point, whether it's the weekend, whether it's in the next few hours, cross above this $38,000 level. That would be the confirmation of a start of a relief rally. And once again, this 200-day moving average at 41,950 is a confirmation of a successful rescue operation, because that would open the door to the $50,000 level to retest this 100-period moving average. So we just really need to monitor Bitcoin in this extremely tight range right now. And so this is a very simple schematic to read. Above 38,000, we're bullish. Below 34,800, that's when we have to start worrying about the door opening to 24,000, which we've been talking about throughout this consolidation period. But it doesn't look like we're seeing much sell pressure at that $35,000 level. It doesn't look like the ground is fertile with sellers right now. We're seeing good accumulation occur, and I think that's a very positive thing, especially if you want to assume that people are buying the fear. The fear and greed index is at lows right now. And so this is extremely important to monitor for Bitcoin. I just rescued a dog, by the way, and so you might hear him barking. I do apologize. Hopefully it doesn't interrupt too much of this video, but I did rescue a dog. If you want to hear more about that, maybe I'll talk about it in another video. But he's barking right now. It's an amazing terrier. Awesome dogs. But anyways, that's the schematics for Bitcoin. 38,000 is the confirmation. 34,800 is the next confirmation. It's a very tight range. And so I like that Bitcoin's having a cup of coffee here. It makes it really easy to determine the next move. And then when it comes to Ethereum, let's quickly cover what's happening. We'll really look at the altcoins, but with Ethereum, we're testing this previous weekly open here at 2385. If this door opens up, that's a potential downside area here of 1980 that we could find support for Ethereum if we see downside. But if we maintain above 2385, that's showing a lot of strength above the previous weekly open and 100-day moving average. We just really need to get above the $2,700 level. So the same way Bitcoin's in a tight range between 34,800 and the $38,000 level, Ethereum has the same range here, but it's a little bit of a wider range because it's a smaller market cap, more volatile asset. And the range for Ethereum is 2385. Anything below 2385 could assume we get back below 2000. But if we get above 2700, that could assume back to 3500, right? So we know that as much as we have this channel here, this is really the range we have to watch, all the way from 1980 to 3500. That's the big range here. You can see on a weekly chart, we typically slice through this range, right? So 1 week, 2 weeks, we're already above from 1980 all the way to 4,000, and then within 2 weeks, we were back down from 4,000 below 2,000, right? So this is a very large range to play with. We're playing a dangerous game if we're not monitoring that, the fact that this is a large range, a lot larger than all of the other ranges that we have here for Ethereum. So that 2385 area is a good place for us to watch as a support. And then for the weekly and monthly open at 2,700, that could be a confirmation. If we get above that, that we'll see strength. Ethereum to Bitcoin chart is starting to test 65,000 Satoshis with today's daily candle. I don't know if this is going to break or not, so we're going to be monitoring this. I think this will be an interesting topic on the weekend. If we break below 65,000, that could show some weakness, but as long as we maintain 65,000, we want to see this hold, and that's the 50-day moving average as well. With the total cryptocurrency market cap chart, once again, we're watching this weekly open. We want to get above home base, or at least touch home base, to reclaim this level, because so far, this is the first weekly candle fully below home base, no wick. You can see full body below home base. Every other candle at least had a wick at home base. And so that would be an interesting confirmation to watch. And then others dominance, I'm not worried about it. You can see we're still having a cup of coffee here above home base. And you guys know the general rule. If we're above the 20-week moving average, things are still bullish. With Bitcoin dominance, yes, we're starting to see a little bit of a relief here, but we're way below home base. And so seeing a relief is totally normal. We're testing this 50-day moving average. We want to monitor this into the weekend. Are we going to reject, or are we going to continue further up? At this point, if we get to 48.94, it looks like the weekly 20-week moving average has the chance to eventually get to that 50% area. Are we going to see at least a medium-term rally for Bitcoin dominance? That's on the table. We'll monitor this into the weekend. Really, at this point, it's getting quite critical to watch this, because we are crossing this 50-day moving average for Bitcoin dominance, heading towards 50%, currently at 45%. And then traditional markets, as we start to close, notice how gold is seeing a pullback into the end of the week. Nothing to be worried about. The reason we're seeing a pullback is the DXY is pushing up, and we know that's the big elephant in the room that we want to watch here. So we want to watch this flag. Are we going to be breaking out of this to the upside or the downside? This is closing this this evening, so there's not much to watch here into the weekend, but we will monitor this. S&P 500 having a cup of coffee at all-time highs. I think the environment's still quite healthy for this weekend when it comes to Bitcoin seeing continued price discovery, following the path of recent, least resistance sideways to a little bit higher. I think the environment outside of Bitcoin right now is healthy for that. So we're going to monitor that. And with that being said, this is a Friday video. Tune in tomorrow. The cryptocurrency market is the most manipulated. It's the most fun on the weekend. And I appreciate each and every one of you snipers. Remember, check out our international channel, subscribe, and show some support. I want to pick a giveaway winner from our video yesterday to win Principles by Ray Dalio, one of my favorite books on value investing. If you want to win, comment below and share this video. I really like this comment. This is kind of what inspired the start of my video today. Rasul Bogdan says, Bitcoin must really enjoy coffee. Very, very witty and funny comment. So send me a message on Instagram. The link is in the description below. You won a book. And with that being said, thank you all for tuning into the Snipers channel today. I couldn't do this without you, as I always tell you. And until next time, snipers